And so whatever I say might be true because you don't know who he is. But if I tell you Michael Jackson was this big muscle builder guy, he was kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger, he had these huge biceps. You know Michael Jackson. And he was a bodybuilder, he was about 6'6". I mean, he was something else. He used to play pro basketball. Now, how many of you all need to Google that or research it and see if it's true? Or how many of you already say he didn't know what he's talking about? Okay, so the significance of this book being written somewhere around 80, 50, if you will, is that a lot of people who knew Jesus, they're still living. A lot of the people who walk with Jesus, they're still living. These people aren't dead. And so this book came during a time when people knew the story. And it wasn't so much time that a legend had formed. So Mark's gospel is the first one that hit the scene. It was the gospel that everybody gravitated to. All right, am I helping you a little bit? All right, how many gospels are there? 4. Boy, y'all got that. All right, 4 gospels. Okay, now Mark's gospel was written sometime around where? 80 what? 80, 50, or 55, somewhere in there. And so that means Jesus had only been dead how many years now? About 20, 25 years. All right, okay, I'm going real good. Now this is a trick question. It's not really a trick question, but you'll probably answer it wrong. It's okay. Was Mark a disciple? Now I told you it's a trick question, huh? Yes, that's how I would answer too. Somebody answered different. It's hard to even say no because you really believe he was, right? If you wrote the gospel, you had to be. All right, he was not. He was not one of the disciples. He was not. Now, you said, wait a minute. Where did he get all his information from? How did the Holy Spirit give him first-hand accounts of so many things that happened? He got his information from what's one of the most famous disciples? Moses, okay. What do you know? Huh?
Peter.
Okay, Peter. All right, so he got his information from Peter. Peter was like the chief disciple, if you will. And the Catholic Church says that the first bishop was Peter. And so Peter has this tremendous significance in the culture of the church. And this young man got his information from Peter. Okay, so that's just some peculiar things about Mark. The other thing about Mark is it doesn't open up. How was Jesus born? Does anyone know? Anybody know any thoughts on how they think he was born? Well, I see your hand. I'll come back to you. But let me tell you, Mark doesn't tell you. Mark doesn't teach you that. Mark doesn't tell you. He doesn't begin with Mary and a husband named Joseph, and Jesus was born in a manger, and he doesn't deal with any of that. And then who came to see the baby Jesus? The disciples, the wise men came to see him, and then the wise men brought some. Well, he doesn't talk about that. Mark doesn't deal with any of that. When we meet Jesus, he's a fully grown individual. And so his gospel is different. And his is the first one. So there's 4. So there's Matthew, he came after Peter. There's Luke after Mark. And then there was John, who also came after Mark. So I just want to give you some little foundation, give you a little bit of history. And this is really how Bible study works. And this Bible study, the way we're teaching it, it's kind of like an intermediate level. You have a beginning level, you have an intermediate level, which is in the middle, and then you have an advanced level. And if we're talking on advanced level, everything I say was so it's not an advanced Bible study. It's okay. It is designed to be an intermediate/beginner Bible study. So that way you don't have to feel ashamed about not wanting an answer, about asking a question, and things of that nature. And so you'll see me sometimes I'll slow down to break things down before we walk too fast. Because I really want you to kind of get this information. Now the beautiful thing about this the way it works is, once you get a little bit of foundation, the first class, kind of like no Zoom class. You know, the first day is going to hurt.
Yeah.
And maybe the first week. But then if you keep doing it, it doesn't hurt anymore. It becomes smooth. And so when you're studying the Bible, sometimes initially there's a little bit of a challenge because you may not know what's what. But how many Gospels are there?
4.
What was the first Gospel written? Right, but which Gospel of the 4 was the first one?
Peter.
Well, which one was the first one? You got it. Which one? So Mark was the first one. And Mark's Gospel was written sometime around AD 55. That's a whole lot of information. Don't think it's not. That information there, you can go to seminary class and learn all that information. Wow! So that's a lot of information there. So we're going to look at this book. Now, does Mark tell you how Jesus was born? So he's not going to deal with that issue. Okay? Now, how many Gospels are there? 4. Now, there are 2 of them that will not tell you how Jesus was born. One is, and the other one is John. So Mark